The host for today. It is an immense pleasure to announce that the ICFA University Tripura, in collaboration with National Institute of Technology Warangal, is organizing an international conference on advanced communications and machine intelligence (MICA) special session for 1st and 2nd of November 2023. Speaking about the conference, MICA 2023 focuses on both theory and applications in the broad areas of advanced communications and machine intelligence. MICA is a multidisciplinary conference organized with the objective of bringing together academicians, scientists, researchers from industry, research scholars, and students working in all areas of advanced communications and machine intelligence. About the technical session, which will follow next, it invites innovative research articles about recent advancements of machine learning and IoT. In the recent years, there has been a significant surge in the adoption of machine learning techniques within the realms of IoT. This mission has enabled the creation of smart data-driven systems that can autonomously gather, process, and act on real-time information. So with this, we will proceed, and to introduce the chief guests and the patrons for today. The chief patron for today is Dr. Professor Biplab Halder, the Vice Chancellor of the ICFA University of Tripura. The patron lists include Professor Dr. A. Ranganath, the Registrar of the ICFA University of Tripura, Professor Dr. Priyanshu Rana Borthakur, the Dean of Faculties of the ICFA University of Tripura, Professor Dr. Dhananjay Dutta, the Dean of Research and Development of the ICFA University of Tripura, and Professor Dr. Prashanti Kumar Sinha, the Principal of ICFA Technical School, the ICFA University of Tripura. Having said so, I would request all the dignitaries to come up on the stage and please take the respective seats. To culturally commence the session, I would request the team to perform the lamp lighting, the Saraswati Mandara, and before that I would request all the dignitaries to come on the 4th stage for the lamp lighting session. Respecting the Indian culture and tradition, we have culturally commenced the session. Now we will technically commence the session with our welcome speech. Due to some unavoidable circumstances, the chief patron for today's session, Professor Dr. Biplab Halder, will not be present physically to address the session, but he has assured his well wishes and regards to all of us and has exclusively asked us to proceed forward with the session even without his physical presence. I would hereby request Professor Dr. A. Ranganath, the Registrar of the ICFA University Tripura, to kindly commence the technical session for today's day. Ranganath sir, if you take over the session.
Thank you, Sanjay. Good morning to all members on the dais, and my students and scholars and teachers. Good morning to all. I'm fortunate to invite all of you in this conference, especially when you see this topic, advanced communication, machine learning, and these topics. Basically, I found all the topics on smart cities and application of IT, so which is an interdisciplinary. So obviously, when we see the data today, around 35% of our Indian population are residing in cities. I was going through the site. In 1901, the urban population in India was hardly 11%. Today it reached to 35%, and tomorrow around 60% will be residing in these cities. So in this context, as the conference identified certain topics which are like smart cities and how the engineers are going to identify the problems and solve the problems, so we are able to build effective cities in the country. So as ICFA University Tripura is organizing this conference with the collaboration of NIT Warangal, all the members who are presenting here, and today on the stage, Professor Dr. Sudhir Misra, IIT Kharagpur, and Dr. Professor Sivasankar B. Nair, Professor IIT Guwahati, and all the eminent people who will be speaking today and tomorrow. I wish a grand success of this program, and based on the recommendations, as any conference will give a platform to the researchers who are young and the senior professors to share their views and come out with new ideas and work on those problems and build their career. I wish this conference will give a scope to everybody. Once again, I welcome all of you in this conference. Thank you. This conference is open. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. A. Ranganath, the Registrar of the ICFA University Tripura. Before we proceed forward to the key talks, I would request our volunteers to kindly come up on the stage for the felicitation of our guests. I would request Dr. A. Naganath to kindly felicitate our chief guest for today, Dr. Shubhit Mishra. I would also request other volunteer to kindly come up on the stage for the felicitation of Dr. Shiva Shankar B. Nayak. And I would request Professor Dr. Priyamshalana Bhattapur to kindly felicitate Dr. Shiva Shankar B. Nayak. Thank you, everybody. A short tea break follows next. I would request the dignitaries to kindly proceed forward to the boardroom for the tea break session. And the tea break for the audience will be just commencing. The tea will be served just outside this auditorium. I would request the dignitaries to kindly proceed to the boardroom. We will meet all after 15 minutes from hence. As per the time, it will be from 10:45. We will begin the keynote talk. Audience, the tea will be served outside. You may gather outside for the tea break.
খেতে পারবে কি তুমি এই জায়গাটা জমায়েত করো না, সাইডে সাইডে জমায়েত করো।
Srinjoy Roy, R-O-Y, Roy. So I'm the host for today. I hope you can hear my voice.
Not very clear, sorry.
Not so clear, right? So, audience, can you please be a bit aside? Dr. Singh, I'm repeating again. Can you hear my voice? Little. You're having some problem in understanding my vocals, right? Or are you assuming?
মাইকটা একটু
what I'm
সামনে নিয়ে
saying?
কথা বল।
No worries, sir. I am moving closer to this.
Yeah, yeah,
Mic,
much
mic.
better, yeah. Okay.
Reading from the.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you perfectly. We can hear you all perfectly. So I was just about to tell you that we will be beginning with your session very shortly. Apologies for the wait period. In a few minutes, I will be beginning with your session. That's why I have just felt like communicating to you.
Okay.
I hope everything is fine from your side. So we will be beginning the very session very shortly. So we are awaiting our guests. I will give you a signal before we start with the process. Alright?
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello. 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 এখান থেকে
ওইখান থেকে শোনো না। এখন তো ডাইরেক্ট কানেকশন। এখানে ঠিক আছে চলবে। এটাতে আছে। আমি তো ভাবছি ও আচ্ছা ওখানেও আছে। দুটোটা থেকে নিচ্ছে।
তারা নিয়ে আয়ো।
এটা ওই
আমি তো ভাবছি যে ডাইরেক্টলি এখান থেকে যাচ্ছে।
বাজজাই কানেক্ট এটা নিচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা
ইনপুটটা বাজজাই করতে।
আচ্ছা রিমোট ইয়েটা কি এর মধ্যে এটা ঠিকঠাক দেখতে না
কেডা?
না কথা বলা যায়
সব দেখতে। তুই মোবাইলে বললে তো বুঝবা। আচ্ছা ইয়ে তুমি কি চালাইবো?
We have a member of our General Chair of MICA 2023, Professor Dr. Shen Lung Ping, who is a professor and the director of the Department of Creative Technologies and Product Design, National Taipei University of Business, Taiwan. He received a PhD degree in computer science from the National Tsinghua University of Taiwan. He is an honorary professor of Beijing Information Science and University on Technology University, apologies, China, and a visiting professor of Ningxia Institute of Science and Technology, China. He is also an adjunct professor of Mandsaur University, India. Dr. Peng is also director of Chinese Association of the Public Affairs Management, Information Services, Association of Chinese Colleges, Taiwan Association of Cloud Computing, and ICPC Asia Taipei site. The Secretary General of the ICPC Contest Council of Taiwan and a supervisor of Chinese Information Literacy Association and of Association of Algorithms and Computation Theory, Taiwan. Dr. Peng has edited several special issues at journals such as Soft Computing, Journal of Internet Technology, Journal of Real-Time Image Processing, International Journal of Knowledge and System Science, MDPI Algorithms, and so on. His research interests are in designing and analyzing algorithms for bioinformatics, combinatorics, data mining, and networks area, in which he has published over 100 research papers. So I would request now Dr. Shen to kindly take over the session for the keynote talk. Dr. Shen, can you hear us?
Sir, you can take over the session and begin your address. Am I audible, sir?
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shen Long Peng from Taiwan. As one of the conference chairs, it is with great pleasure and excitement that I welcome you all to the International Conference on Advanced Communication and Machine Intelligence. This conference serves as a platform to explore, discuss, and push the boundaries of what is possible in the fields of communications and machine intelligence. The remarkable achievements we have witnessed in recent years have transformed the way we connect, communicate, and compute. And they continue to shape the future of our societies and industries. This conference brings together experts, researchers, and practitioners from around the globe, each of whom has a unique perspective on the fascinating interplay between advanced communications and machine intelligence. Our collective knowledge, shared experience, and collaborative efforts will undoubtedly yield new insights, innovative solutions, and groundbreaking discoveries that will shape the future of technology. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the organizing committee and all the dedicated individuals who have made this event possible. Your efforts have ensured that this conference is not just a gathering of minds, but a springboard of innovation. Finally, I look forward to the valuable contributions and discussions that will take place during this conference, and the potential it holds to shape a future where advanced communication and machine intelligence continue to redefine what is possible. Thank you for being here, and I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring experience at this conference. Thank you very much. I hope maybe in the future I have some chance that I can speak maybe longer for my research. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can we have a big round of applause for Dr. Sean? Because he has checked all the local talent. Thank you very much, Dr. Sean. We wish you a prosperous time ahead. Carrying forward the session to the next keynote talk, it is going to be delivered by Professor Dr. Shudit Mishra of Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. To introduce Dr. Shudit Mishra, he is a professor and INAE of Abdul Kalam Technology Innovation National Fellow in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He received his PhD.
So first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the conference organizers of MICA 2023 and also the host institutions ICFI Agartala and NIT Warangal for inviting me to deliver the talk. So it gives me deep inner satisfaction and love to visit Tripura. I have visited here in the past also, and I love coming here again and again. So thanks for taking this opportunity to have me over here. And before I begin, I would personally like to thank two of your colleagues and my well-wishers, Dr. Subrajyoti De and so as we all know that IoT technology is gaining its popularity, and let us say a little more than a decade back, IoT was starting to become popular among the researchers. But the technology has been maturing in terms of research, and we are at a stage where we witness the application of IoT technology in different domains. So IoT has become very pervasive now. It is no longer restricted to research labs anymore. There are diverse applications of IoT technology. There are so many attractive features of this technology that almost in every domain that you can think of, there are developers, there are researchers who are innovating and coming up with ideas of how to innovate their own technologies through the adoption of IoT. So in my research lab, the SWAN lab at IIT Kharagpur, we do a lot of research on IoT, and our focus is on sensors, networking aspects of sensors, IoT in general, the networking aspects of IoT. We try to make different contributions, starting from theoretical contributions in this domain to application-oriented ones. We have been fortunate to have had a lot of funding from the government as well as the private sectors to innovate and come up with different types of solutions to help resolve these organizations the different problems that the different domains face in day-to-day life. So one such domain is healthcare, and healthcare is such a domain which is very close to my heart and is fundamentally important for the growth of any nation. In our country, we all know that, due to several factors, healthcare is very important. And our country basically faces a lot of challenges which are typical to us. So many of the solutions that are available elsewhere in other countries, the more prosperous ones, are not all suitable for us. And in fact, there are specific problems that we face for which we need our own unique solutions. So in our lab, we have been trying to contribute in this particular direction, and since about 7 to 8 years, we have executed a number of projects trying to innovate the domain of healthcare, try to resolve some of the India-specific challenges, and we have tried to come up with solutions which could be adopted to resolve some of the unique challenges that I was talking about that we all face. So towards the end of this talk, I'm going to talk about some of the many works that we have done. These are the application-oriented works. There are lots of fundamental theoretically oriented works on IoT that we have done. So all of you who are interested to know more about the different types of research works that we do and we have tried to contribute in this direction, please feel free to visit the website for which the URL is given on the slide. So, if we look at the healthcare space all over the world, so first thing is that everywhere you go, not only India and China, but anywhere you go, you will notice that there is a kind of concern about increase in population. Obviously, we face a lot more problems with population and so on, but this is something that is inevitable. There are ways that the government tries to control population and so on, but there are certain things that you cannot resolve in shorter durations. So the question is that, can we adopt technology? Can we try to leverage different types of innovative technologies and try to come up with some solutions to these problems? So one thing is the rise in the population. Second thing is that everywhere we have been seeing that there are different types of new diseases that are coming. We all knew about the age-old diseases like chickenpox, measles, etc., etc. But in the last couple of years, we have been seeing there are small nanoscale viruses against which we are not able to fight properly. But we also think the world has evolved, there has been a lot of growth, but still we have seen how we failed miserably to fight properly globally. We have failed to fight properly against this small virus. So with that motivation, in our lab also, we, because we, as I said, we try to make some contributions in the domain of IoT, and IoT has a lot of potential. So we have been trying to think how we can use IoT technology to help resolve issues of this sort. There are also many other problems. For example, many of us, we have experienced we do not always follow the protocols that the doctors ask us to do in terms of taking medicines on time, regularly, and so on. We miss doses, right? And that is very typical to many of us. Again, this is another problem where IoT technology can possibly be used in order to come up with some better solutions. So IoT is a technology that can help us get connected. So the healthcare infrastructure, whether it is in the hospitals or in the nursing homes and so on, or whether we are traveling anywhere, we are on the trains, we are on the buses, we are at our homes also. So can we have some of these services, the medical services, healthcare services, even when we are on the move? So essentially, we are talking about having a scenario where IoT can help us to get connected in such a way that anything in the world, okay, so this projection will not happen on the screen, right? Okay, so that's fine. So anything, basically we are talking about getting anything connected at any time, irrespective of where they are located, anywhere in the world. So holistically, we are talking about having some kind of an e-healthcare kind of scenario. So IoT in e-health basically helps to interconnect hospitals with different patients through the internet to deliver progressive healthcare services. So this is holistically at a high level how the IoT-based healthcare systems look like. So on one end of the spectrum, we have different physical objects, things as they are called, and these are typically sensor-enabled. Different sensors like SpO2, which we have become very much familiar with in the last few years. Body temperature, blood pressure, and many different types of sensors, right? So these sensors basically can be integrated with different objects, right? And holistically, these are called the things. These things can not only sense due to the sensors that are embedded in them, but the sensed information could also be briefly processed and the data would be sent across through different communication channels in the backbone. So things like a backbone communication network would be able to take the data forward from these physical objects which have collected the different sensed information, and we have to do something about it. So typically nowadays, along with the growth of IoT technology, the cloud technology has also become very popular. And cloud is good in a number of different ways, two of which are basically storage and the other one is processing. So we get kind of through cloud we can get lots of different types of options for storage and processing. And these data in the cloud, these could be accessed from anywhere, because typically these cloud services are internet enabled, right? So you can access them from anywhere. So you get access to this data from anywhere, irrespective of where you are, right? Which part of the world you are in. So this is kind of at a very high level how the IoT, healthcare applications look like. So what sort of healthcare services can we offer? Starting from the basic education services, telehealth education, to telehealth data, because, so as we all know, data is very important for anything that we do. In any domain it is important. In any area of research, data is very important. And particularly in the domain of healthcare, it is also very important. Now you see that the scenario that we were talking about just a while back, through the adoption of IoT technology, what are we doing? We have these sensors which are continuously going to throw a lot of healthcare data. And remember that this healthcare data is not just about some individual's SpO2 value. This healthcare data is also about the different, other medical infrastructure that might be there in the hospital, or if there is a, patient who is getting services from home. We are also talking about it as the ambient temperature of the room and so on and so forth. So you see that through this holistic connectivity, a very complex kind of connectivity, we are talking about, a diverse data basically coming in. So this data that comes in, if we can kind of process it properly, if we can mine it properly, there are lots of insights that we can potentially get through the process. Good. So we can get a lot of insights. So this health data is very important. And as we will see that the data is very important because, so based on this you can create knowledge bases, for instance, right? Lots of, so the doctors could potentially use these knowledge bases to effectively treat patients. Personalized care for the patients are possible, right? So a lot of different things could be done. So essentially we are talking about that through the adoption of IoT technology, you can create a very rich repository containing lots of interesting and useful data. Two other things which are very attractive are telemedicine and telesurgery. In our country, these two are even more important because we have a lot of disparity in terms of healthcare service availability throughout the country. On one end of the spectrum, we have top hospitals of the world with top doctors, top infrastructure, and on the other end, we have regions of our country where it is very hard to find even a simple basic medical facility. So there are remote regions, even like in the northeast also we have remote regions where we do not have even the basic medical facilities available. So through telemedicine, forget about surgery for a moment, through telemedicine what can we have? We can have these expert doctors who might be located in in some of the prominent cities like so as it happens like in Delhi or Chennai or Hyderabad, right? Who can be consulted by patients who might be located in remote locations of Bengal, remote locations of Northeast, or so other remote locations of the country. And how is it going to happen? It is already happening actually. Telemedicine has been there. It has been there since last couple of decades. And it is nothing new. It is there. But what is new is this IoT technology could additionally kind of make this telemedicine more attractive and with different additional features, right? And that is something that, there are different research groups who are trying to innovate and come up with solutions for it. So medicine is something that is understood. Where is this surgery coming into picture? In terms of telesurgery, what are we talking about? We are talking about a surgeon who might be located like this in these beautiful cities, who might be operating a patient, who might be located in one of these remote villages or remote other locations. Now you see that medical consultation is something that is okay, understood. But how to make this surgical thing be performed so remotely? Why? Because surgery means like, you need to see a lot of different things, you need to precisely make the incisions and so on and so forth. But it is now possible to visualize these kind of operations to be performed. So not only we have these robotic surgeries which we have already heard about, but remote robotic surgeries are being conceptualized. And it is possible because now already in different parts of the world, even in our country also, we are talking about the adoption of 5G. And this 5G technology can offer you a lot of backbone connectivity with lots of performance. High throughput, high data rate, ultra low latency, ultra high reliability, and so on and so forth. So that is with 5G. And in terms of research, basically, we are, already there are groups who are working on 5G and beyond, basically, 6G, 7G, and so on. So very soon, maybe in another 10 years, we will be able to see that, so things are becoming even more improved. So what are we going to see then? Very soon, it has already started to happen. Give another 10 years, and we will be able to see that everything, everywhere, is going to be connected. Lots of data are going to be generated. These are getting processed, and we are going to get lots of attractive services. And that is the beauty of IoT in general. And now you can make it more healthcare specific, and you can understand that you can get lots of different types of attractive services with the adoption of IoT. Let me give you one or two examples to make the to have better clarity on this. How much time we have, by the way? When should I end?
Roughly 1 hour, sir.
1 hour. Okay. So I think so let us discuss a little bit in more detail. Let us take one or two such use cases. So let us say that there are lifestyle diseases that are becoming very common now. Diabetes, right? CKD, and many others, which require continuous monitoring and care. And at the same time, it should not happen in the modern world that every time I need to consult a doctor, I will have to go to my physician and do the tests and get the consultation done and get the advice and start the medication or change the medication or whatever we need. I should be free. I was in Kharagpur yesterday, today I am in Agartala, tomorrow I might be somewhere else, right? I should be able to get continuous monitoring of my health and the different parameters that are of interest to me, irrespective of where I am. And if there is something wrong, my family doctor should be able to know about it. Or even better, not only that they would be informed, but the system as a whole should be such that I should get feedback about what I should and what I should not. If I am a diabetic and yesterday I had a heavy meal because of which maybe my blood sugar has shot up momentarily, I should get that alert that be careful today. Right? So this sort of thing, it's a very simple example that I gave you. Irrespective of where I am, I should be able to get, I should be part of a smart system, right? I should be part of a smart system which will fit me with lots of different types of services of this nature. Let me give you another type of example. Nowadays, our society is transforming. So we see elderly people staying alone. It's very common now, right? It is happening. We see that, I have seen in Bengal, so there are elderly people who are just staying alone. They have a lot of different types of ailments, and there is basically no, so they do not have their children and other caregivers close to them. They are all on their own. And due to old age, there are mobility restrictions that come in. There are also different types of other problems, other issues that comes with, age. So, wouldn't it be nice, for example, that, an elderly patient gets some kind of continuous, not only monitoring, but care. For instance, that, so an elderly person needs to drink a glass of milk, right? So, and he has mobility impairments or whatever. It would be very nice, it is still a dream, but it would be very nice that if there was some system by which, through the press of a button or something of that sort, the door of the refrigerator would be opened, the milk will be taken out of the milk jar or pot, poured into a glass, put into the microwave oven, heated for a certain number of seconds, and delivered. And in the process, if it is found by the system that there is not enough milk in the milk pot, then the milk person should be informed about it to deliver milk in the next opportune moment. And after that, the milk, the warmed up milk, the heated milk should be served to the elderly person. So like this, actually, there are so many different examples that we can think of, which would be not only nice to have, but these would be essential very soon, right? And IoT is such a technology that can help in achieving all these dreams. But remember that even the small things with IoT are not very easy to do. It might appear, because why it appears is I have heard IoT, but उसमें क्या है, right? आप वो रास्पबेरी को खरीद लीजिए, 2-4 सेंसर खरीद लीजिए, उसको then you put them together, data आ जाएगा तो उससे ठीक है. But actually, those who feel that IoT is this have very myopic view of IoT. They do not really understand IoT well. It is not so easy. It might look to be of this nature, but the the innovations that have to be put in and the development effort that is there are actually quite of a challenge. Going back, there are monitoring, not only telemedicine, telesurgery, telemonitoring, and a lot of different interesting things that we could do through the adoption of IoT. So I already discussed part of it, but let me just highlight some of the things that we just mentioned. So we can have telementoring, tele-robotic surgery, teleconsultation, all of these could be done. So we could have expert doctors sitting in one part of the world, in a way, maybe in US somewhere, who can be consulted or who might be educating other junior doctors or not so experienced doctors about certain medical procedures or certain way of treatment, even if they are completely on the other part of the world. So all these things are possible through the adoption of IoT. So you can educate basically, so education services, and we have seen actually in different ways. We have seen we have seen how during this pandemic time, how these online platforms evolved. Earlier, personally, I used to know only Skype, right? And then I learned that there is something called Zoom. Again, so then I learned that, okay, there is another one, Teams, and so on and so forth. And now, basically, in the same way as we have seen, the professor from Taiwan, right? He did not have to come over here in order to deliver his lecture. All of us heard him, right? And he was speaking from a very distant location. So the same thing could be done in the case of healthcare education as well, right? But in a much more smarter way, right? Lots of automated systems could be developed, IoT based, which can make the process even more smarter. And data I already talked about. So if you can create a rich repository of data, then this data, with the help of this data, you can develop knowledge bases, and the doctors or the practitioners can use that knowledge base, and they can deliver effective and timely care to the patients. Right? You must have heard about something called personalized medicine. How many of you have heard about personalized medicine? Anybody? Personalized medicine? Personalized medicine in the medical community, it is going to be very popular. So in personalized medicine, basically what it talks about is that, so often we have seen one antibiotic, for example, works very well for one individual. For others, it doesn't work so well, right? We have seen somebody says that, okay, this bad group of antacids work good for me. Somebody else will say that no, Omez is better for me. We have all seen that, and that is how it is happening. It's based on my experience. I try all these different combinations, and I think that this one works better for me, and it happens to all of us. In personalized medicine, basically, we are talking about this thing only. We are talking about that a particular medicine which will work well for an individual will be prescribed by the system as a whole to that individual. There could be multiple different options, but the system as a whole will prescribe, it will make personal prescriptions about the medicines that are good for that individual, and which might be different for different individuals. So all these things are possible, and how is it possible? Only if you have lots of data, right? If you have lots of data, then it is possible. And as I said before, that one of the concerns is that, okay, you get a lot of data, but then how do you handle it? And our cloud friend is there to help us do it. You can get kind of unlimited, it's a feeling, right? So with the help of cloud, we feel like, we can get unlimited storage. You use whatever amount of storage you need, you have it. Even like in Google Drive, right? Every year, my, I have to pay more and more because my mailbox is getting full. Right? I started with some 1,000 rupees something, and now I am paying some 13,000 rupees per month, not per month, per year. And I'm sure that next year it will go even higher up. Right? But the good thing is that even if I have to pay, but I get those services. Correct? So, anyways, so that is one thing. Telemedicine we already spoke about. We have seen this picture in front of you. You can see the way the skilled medical practitioners, they can offer remote consultation to patients who might be located at different remote locations, right? And you can get lots of different features like remote diagnosis of a patient and so on and so forth. I'll soon talk about it. So towards this direction, basically, one of the systems that we have developed, it's called the DigiScope. So DigiScope basically is what? It's the stethoscope that the doctors commonly use, right? Whatever the stethoscopes can do, Okay, so we have kind of IoTized it. What does it mean? So basically, whatever the doctors could do, right, we are basically offering these features. How does it help? See, the problem with the stethoscope was that the doctor has to basically put it on the patient in different locations which they know where to put, and then they would hear the sound, etc., etc., and then they will tell that, okay, so this much of congestion I can see, I can hear on your lungs, this much of heart rate you have, or whatever, right? So all these things. So now with the help of our system, Digiscope, it is now possible that the doctors don't have to really put it on the patient, right? The doctor might be located in Chennai and listening to these lung sounds and all these things of a patient who might be sitting in Agartala, right? And even better, many of these things basically have been automated. So automatically you will get a count of many of these parameters, and we are improving it gradually. But some of these features basically automates some of the things that the doctors do with the regular analog stethoscopes. So you see that telemedicine gets improved, right? We spoke about telesurgery, and as I said, telesurgery now can, so this concept has been around, but now basically, this could be thought of like, gradually achieving its dream, so it is becoming a reality. So 5G, right? 5G and beyond can offer you that kind of backbone connectivity, wireless, right? So because of which now you can think about like, the patient, you are operating on a patient, and in real or very, close to real time, you get the images of the patient coming in, so that, the errors of, or the delay in making the, making the incisions or whatever gets reduced significantly, right? So all these things basically, different research groups, it's not like, we are doing all of these, but all these things basically around the world, different research groups are working on. Telemonitoring, continuous monitoring. We have already seen like smart watches, like, so many of us, we are wearing these smart watches. So these smart watches not only show us the time, but also they can do number of things. It will tell you, okay, how much, when you are walking, how much calories you have burned, how much is your pulse rate, many different things these smartwatches do, right? So, and there are lots of different types of wearables that are evolving at present. So, where are we going in future? And with the adoption of 5G technology at the same time, we are getting into a world where there are going to be IoT technology with 5G integrated, and the adoption of which is going to help us to have, a massive number of devices connected all together. And it is possible because 5G is there for us. Otherwise, there were lots of different communication issues with respect to scalability, etc. Right? So one example, for instance, there was one paper, research paper, theoretically in Nature, which was published long back, 1999 if I remember. It contained a theoretical result which said that if you are increasing the number of nodes of a multi-hop network, right, the throughput of the network goes down, at the rate of 1 over square root of n, where n is the number of nodes in the network. So now you can understand, like from 2 nodes to 4 nodes to 400 nodes, how the throughput is going to decrease, right? So you see, with the adoption of 5G, basically some of these impediments can be overcome. So massive number of connected devices, then ultra low latency, as I was talking about earlier, ultra low latency, ultra high reliability, high data rate, energy efficiency, spectral efficiency, all of these are some of these attractive features that 5G itself brings in with it, right? So what are the different opportunities through the adoption of 5G in healthcare? We are going to get real-time, high-speed clinical data delivery, remote robotic surgery, decentralized patient care beyond hospital setup, and also now we can have this augmented reality and virtual reality also part of our connected system. And here, as we have seen, like, these have lots of different applications. We are talking about, let us say, in the context of healthcare. Now, these complex medical procedures, the doctors can be trained through the adoption of virtual reality devices and systems. So, like this augmented reality also can aid in many of these things. So, at the same time, all these big sized files, the medical files, for example, the CT scan, plates or the X-ray plates, they all can be transferred in close to real time, near real time. These could be transferred across because our friend 5G is going to help us do so. So gradually we are seeing, like in the healthcare sector, there is this adoption of 5G technology because of all these different attractive features that I talked about. And it has been estimated through some study that a total revenue of $75.7 billion US are expected by the year 2026 through the introduction of 5G in healthcare. So a major part of it basically is taken care of by the patient applications and then the hospital applications and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the pie chart basically in front of you shows it all, like what is the expected distribution of the different applications in this particular revenue share. So I was talking about this continuous monitoring, etc., with the help of these wearable technologies. So continuous monitoring of patients is possible, right? And whether you are at home or at hospital, or whether you are running, jogging, walking, do whatever, you get monitored. This data will be sent somewhere, and the system will be built in such a way that if there is something that you should not do, so we have heard about, like, people getting heart attacks while doing gym, right? So we have seen, we have heard about all these things. So these are not going to happen if we have this continuous monitoring. So even if I am telling you just one student project, which is being done by one of my students, BTech students, in the ubiquitous computing course that I am offering this time. So what is that student developing? The student is developing a very small, kind of conceptual prototype about, resolving this issue that, whenever somebody is working out in the gym, they will get continuously monitored, and if some of these parameters go beyond certain threshold, right? Very simple thing, just thresholding test. Simple, so if it crosses certain threshold, then, so whoever concerned will get the, alerts. Very simple things. But you see that these are essential and these are helping us resolve these things. And what is the beauty of IoT? The beauty of IoT is that you do not need like big machines, etc. It is very small wearable devices, etc. It is very small things you can develop at a very low cost. In our country, cost is a very important concept, right? So the government wants, the society wants affordable solutions. And with the help of IoT, basically, you can come up with these, portable, affordable solutions, which are very attractive and useful. So in front of you, you see some of these, wearable things like, which are commercially available, like the Fitbit Flex, Withings Pulse, Misfit Shine, and many others are there actually. So many different, wearables are available in the market, and this is becoming basically a very attractive market with different features coming out every day. Now these wearable devices can be of two types. Most of these wearables that we talk about are non-invasive in nature, right? ECG, EEG, SpO2, body temperature, these are non-invasive. And this is what we are doing at present. Most of these wearable devices will come up with these things. Now these are good, so they can collect a lot of data, and the data can be sent using different technologies like low power consuming technologies, low resource consuming communication technologies like ZigBee, Z-Wave, Sigfox, many others are there, right? And then you can get the data and do whatever I was talking about earlier. But at the same time, there are different other invasive wearables that are also coming out. So there are actually non-invasive blood glucose monitors that are also gradually coming out in the market. These are not very precise, but invasive blood glucose monitors, which can do similar to what these non-invasive ones can do for other parameters, right? These are gradually coming to the market. So you can have your glucometer automatically, invasive one, which can throw the data. So most of the modern glucometers, so they are already doing that. But what we do is that we have to have the app downloaded, and then you send the data and you store the data. So it's not really like fully end-to-end connected, right? The solutions are not fully end-to-end. So, but things are becoming better. So everything will remain connected and so on. So lots of different systems are proposed in the literature. Lots of systems are being developed. Here are some of these systems, which have been proposed with different architectures. Here is one of the many such examples that are there in the literature. So, for example, in this case, this WISE, which is basically the system for wearable IoT cloud-based health monitoring. So there are different layers like the sensing layer, networking layer, processing layer, application layer, and so on. And each of these layers have their own different components, taking care of their own different, microservices and so on. So all of these basically can help you to, get full-scale systems with different attractive features. InterHealth is another one, cloud integrated. So there are body clouds basically, which contain the body sensor data, which are continuously getting processed to get a lot of insights about what is happening with the patients whose data are being stored. Like this, there are composite systems, invasive and non-invasive together, which can also get a lot of this interesting data. And so decision support systems will be built. You can, get knowledge bases, etc., develop based on this. I'm not going through the individual, details of each of them, but the thing that I wanted to mention is that you can collect this data. Which data? This data that are coming. You can, this historical data basically can help to resolve or to kind of treat the patients better in future, right? Because if you have lots of historical data about different patients and what happened, what medication helped them, etc., right? You can make proper drug recommendations for a patient who comes with similar kind of ailments, who comes with similar ailments in future, right? So lots of different things could be done. You can have interesting patterns. You can do lots of different types of predictive analytics, etc., so that the patients can get a lot of preventive care and so on. So there are decision support systems which have been proposed, for example, for CVD, cardiovascular disease risk assessment. There are decision support systems for cerebral strokes, and so on. So like this, actually, there are lots of different literature of this nature that you will find. Another thing that has become very popular with the growth of machine learning is basically something called recommender systems. And recommender system is something that many of us, we have used even without knowing that we are actually, there is a recommender system that is helping us. And many of us we have seen, like for example, Amazon, when you browse and try to purchase some item, you get a lot of recommendations that, okay, so these are also the items that you might be interested in. How is it happening? There is some recommender system algorithms that are executing in the background, right? So machine learning, basically the whole thing is that the machine learning could be adopted to come up with interesting analytics, preventive, predictive, prescriptive, operational. So lots of different types of interesting analytics could be executed. So recommender systems have been also not only for e-commerce applications of the type that I mentioned, but also in healthcare also you could adopt recommender system concepts to make healthcare recommendations. So for lifestyle diseases like diabetes, recommender systems have been proposed. Doctors basically are also using recommender systems to make specific recommendations about drugs, etc. Drug recommendations, right? Cloud-assisted drug recommender systems, CADR, is one such architectural proposition which talks about that, what drug out of the 10 different options that a doctor has to recommend a drug, right? Which drug would be the best for a particular patient. So drug recommender systems are useful. Okay. Now, so as we can visualize, in the interest of time, I'm skipping some of these things, but as you can visualize, like through the adoption of IoT, 5G, ML technologies, you can basically make the healthcare systems and consequently the services smarter, and these can improve the quality of healthcare and the healthcare scenario of any economy, and particularly in our country. It has a lot of potential, this sort of technology, this kind of complex integrative technology has a lot of potential to transform our healthcare space. Very quickly I will run you through some of the, just give me 2 or 3 minutes, I know that I'm running out of time. Just give me 2 to 3 minutes, and what I will do is I will just run you through some of the systems that we have developed. These are only about 25% of the different things that we have been doing in the healthcare domain. But I will just so let me start with the Ambusen system, for which which gained a lot of media popularity. In the televised media, in the print media, this Ambusen system was there. Even if you search, you will be able to find way back. So long back, basically, we started conceptualizing this. What is it? What is this Ambusen system? So this Ambusen system basically came from some inspirations. In IIT Kharagpur, we have seen that Kharagpur being located far away from, Kolkata or Bhubaneswar, so we have seen patients, particularly during emergency situations, they do not get adequate care. So we have ambulances. We used to have even rudimentary or basic ambulances. Now things have become much improved. But earlier when we started this project, we used to have ambulances which used to have only an oxygen cylinder and very basic things, right? And often the patients, while taking the patients from the referring hospital, IIT Kharagpur hospital, for example, this is just an example, actually this is there everywhere. Go to even the best parts of our country, these sort of problems are there. So when the patient is taken from the referring hospital to the referred hospital, typically Kolkata, top multi-specialty, super specialty hospitals, in some cases the condition of the patients used to become too critical, and in very rare cases the patients used to die. So these sort of things could be avoided if these patients could get monitored continuously by the doctors at both the heads, the referring hospital as well as the referred hospital. The situation is even more complex. I have seen parts of Northeast, for example, where the patient has to be taken from the referring hospital, a PHC or something like primary healthcare center, to the city hospital maybe in Guwahati, and they have to be carried for 8 hours, 10 hours, right? And you can understand what will happen with the condition of the patient. So the patients don't even get monitored, right? No paramedic also in many cases are there on board the ambulance. The ambulance is something like a omni van with the patient being put in on the stretcher. Only basic thing like that, only one oxygen cylinder will be there, right? But many of these things, if we had proper technologies in place, the doctors don't even have to come on board. The doctors would be continuously monitoring the conditions of the patients remotely, and even better, the system would be there which can continuously monitor the condition of the patients, and the doctors who are there on their chambers doing certain things, looking at, treating or consulting other patients, etc. They can get alerts or whatever if there is something that is not desirable happening with the patient who is traveling in the ambulance. So with that motivation, we started this Ambulance project. We came up with a system which was tried in parts of Bengal and Odisha. So we did some trials on it, and we were successful. This ambulance system basically can continuously monitor the condition of the patients while they are on travel from the referee to the referred hospital. So we started with this basic use case, but as you can imagine now, that lots of interesting things could be integrated to beautify the entire use case. Also hopefully that you can understand, like, very simple but important problems could be addressed, using this. For example, just give you one example. The first time we ran the trial, we had to almost like come back midway. Why? What happened? We did all the, this in-lab testing, etc. We did. But what happened? Back then, there were patches of the road where there was no connectivity. And again, you will get maybe, for a minute or so, you lose connectivity. Again, you will get some connectivity. But what happens to the patient? He might be getting a heart attack during that 1 minute duration. What happens during that time? And once, you get disconnected, we did not have the provision to get connected again. Reconnection was not possible in the system that we had developed. So you see that lots of different challenges are there. We came up with, so what happens to the analytics? Let us say that now you can think, like as computer scientists or electrical sciences engineers, you can now think about, okay, why can't we use this, that, etc. Right? Actually, we can do that. Lots of interesting things can be done. But what happens to the analytics? Can we do the same analytics that we used to do when we were getting the streams of data while there was connectivity in place? Can we still do the connectivity? Can we still do the analytics? Now, this is where technologies like edge computing, edge intelligence particularly edge intelligence is coming into picture, right? So you must have heard about edge, right? So edge intelligence particularly is something that is very attractive in situations like this. So anyways, so AmbuSense became attractive. We came up with lots of different requests. People talked about Nini, so I remember that there were requests that were coming in that, okay, not just ambulance, so we want monitoring. There were stakeholders who were saying that, no, we want monitoring right from the time the patient is put to the emergency room to taking back to their homes after treatment, end to end. And while at home also, they should get the services. So home-based care should also be there. So towards that goal, basically, we tried to make it more generic ambulance system, and we came up with AP1. AP1 basically talks about that, you go anywhere, you have this monitoring done continuously, whether you are in the ambulance, whether you have been treated and you have gone back to your homes. At homes, you have to again be on the bed for a certain duration of time to help you completely recover. You get continuous monitoring. So AP1, we again went through different generations of evolution, P1, P2, NG, next generation, etc. etc. You can see, like, the complete look and feel of these systems have also changed. So if you are interested, actually we have been trying to commercialize these through different means. I have a startup company incubated in IIT Kharagpur, the Science and Technology Entrepreneurs Park in IIT Kharagpur. So the name of the company is Sensor Drops Networks. So any of you who are interested, you can search for it. So www.sensordropsnetworks.com is the website. So through that company, basically not only in healthcare but also different like power sectors, etc. We try to innovate and come up with different solutions which help resolve some of the problems that these domains face. So this is the smart digital stethoscope that I was talking about. So then, age-based features also were brought in. We renamed it to Scope Age and so on. So like this actually, this is a picture that we have taken from one of our papers that was published in the Infocom, which is an improved version of the AP1 system, AP1WL, where irrespective of, so here basically we are talking about that irrespective of the vendor, irrespective of the protocols that are being used, the standards that are being used, everything will be plug and play. So you bring whatever, just plug it in, it will start working. It should not happen that again you have to go back, open the box. So those sort of things, right? Over the year configuration is possible. So that's all. And finally, this slide is the most important. I will tell you why. I keep, visiting different places like this and talking, and I take kind of invisible credit for many of these works, but actually I want to be explicit that the credit for all these works go to all my former and present research scholars, particularly, not only research scholars, there are others also like BTech and Tech students also who work, but mostly the research scholars are the ones, and this picture basically shows some of these happy faces who have been instrumental in developing some of these systems. So all credits go to them. Many of them are faculty members, or they are working in research organizations, Google Research, IBM Research. So they all have found their own different best places to survive post PhD, and they are the ones who have been instrumental, and all the credits basically go to them. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Hello, yes. The audience, Dr. Mishra is going to take questions. If you have any questions to ask, Dr. Mishra will be taking the questions.
Yes. First you introduce yourself, that will help me to understand who you are, whether you are a BTech student or a PhD student or a faculty.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Debjyoti Devnath. I am a BTech student of computer science. So I had a question. Suppose there is a patient who is having symptoms of lower back pain, mobility issues, and weight loss, and he goes to a doctor to get checked up. The doctor mistakenly diagnoses rheumatoid arthritis, and when the treatments don't go well, and he gets a second opinion, it's found out that he had actually multiple myeloma, that is the cancer of the bone marrow. Both had similar symptoms, but the first doctor was mistaken and he diagnosed another disease and gave treatments for those. So can the integration of IoT in medical healthcare sector solve these issues of mistaken diagnosis and solve this issue?
Yeah, I think personally I think that these are some of these different benefits that are going to come out if you have advanced automated systems of this sort, right? Because take for example that knowledge base that I was talking about, right? So you see that why does a doctor misdiagnose? Because for the same or similar symptoms, there could be multiple different underlying reasons, right? And if you have a rich historical data of similar symptoms for cancer and not necessarily the name of the disease that you mentioned, right? Then possibly the doctors can also think about these sort of things, right? Because the system as a whole, it will be developed in such a way that all these different possibilities are going to be highlighted by it, right? It's all about, see, it's a futuristic thing. I mean, one good thing that I like about you is you are a BTech student of which year?
So third year.
Third year. You see, at this stage itself, we have thought about a possible problem which is very typical in nature in the medical community, misdiagnosis. by individuals, because many of these are like, when we talk about humans are more prone to errors. Obviously, humans have their own advantages over machines, that is true, but at the same time, when you have systems in place which are automated, and particularly if these have lots of powerful data-based analytics, right, then probably the chances of errors are going to also reduce. And you have thought about it rightly, maybe your BTP could try to get into this direction. Okay? So your BTech project, you can try to take some steps towards it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Any further questions from the audience, please? You can raise your hands. We will get to you. Any further questions from the audience?
Any first year BTech student here? Second year? Third and fourth only, right? Second year. Who is second year? So, do you have any thoughts? You might have thought about something fancy, because I talked about lots of fairy tales, right? So, did you also think about some fairy tales that could possibly be done?
Future innovations for our environment. Innovations like in our environment which are helpful for the other peoples in our society.
Correct. So this is what we are talking about, coming up with innovations. So think about, you are in the second year right now, you have got two more years to go, two and a half years to go. Right? If you start now itself, you will get a lot of time to contribute something meaningfully out of your bachelor's degree. Right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions from the audience?
Okay, so thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking over here, and thank you all for your time. Professors, students, so you all are very busy, and thank you for taking your time to listen to me. Thank you, and feel free to interact with me through email or otherwise in some cases anywhere if you think of discussing with me about anything. Thank you.
Speech with vast vaults of resources and knowledge. Proceeding forward for the session, along with the session, we will have the second keynote talk speaker for today, Professor Dr. Shiva Shankar B. Nair. To introduce him to the audience, Professor Dr. Shiva Shankar B. Nair is a professor of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. He has completed his PhD on Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, Amravati University in the year of 1998. He has also completed his Masters of Engineering, going down the line, on Electronics at Amravati University, 1988 itself. His specialization includes Artificial Intelligence, Intelligent and Nature-Inspired and Emotional Robots, Mobile Agent-Based Systems, Artificial Immune Systems, Intelligent Internet of Things, Cyber Physical Systems, Natural Language Processing, Genetic Algorithms, Fuzzy Systems, and Neural Networks. So I request Dr. Shiva Shankar Nair to take over the session and deliver the keynote of talk.
So once again, good afternoon. The mic was not on. So thank you. I must thank all the organizers for having invited me for this talk. Let me come back. Go straight to the talk. We had a very good talk on IoTs, healthcare applications, and what all innovations we can do. We digress towards something else, which of course is not really healthcare, but possibly very vaguely related to biology. So let me uncover the first slide. What is this? So I'm going to talk on something called immuno-inspirations. Basically immunology. See, most of the time the current state is that we talk of machine learning, wherein you got a large data set, you train using that data set and then try to come up with some kind of models that learn some things. But at the same time, there is another method or style of learning. This learning we have had an experience some time back during the pandemic. The pandemic has, to quite an extent, educated us in understanding immunology. I'm sure by now everybody knows what a vaccine is, how it works out, the antibodies, and things like that. So assuming that is known to all of us, we just have a quick look at what immunology can provide us and help, and in what way can it help us in machine learning. So here are a few things what we require as such. I've highlighted them. Number one, what we need is intelligence, of course, that is always there. Embedding them into IoTs, CPIs, like what we have mentioned. We've already heard a nice lecture on IoTs. So we need to also embed intelligence into it. We need centralized, decentralized systems, sometimes centralized, sometimes decentralized, sometimes a hybrid version of centralized and decentralized, which possibly is the better version. Then we also need what is called as federated learning, where you learn over several nodes as such, trying to gain experience and then trying to accumulate from the experience of each of the nodes and then aggregate them and then bring out a altogether new model. We also say when we look at the conventional method uses, right now it's all based on deep learning. For deep learning you require a huge amount of data, not to mention huge amount of computational infrastructure. But where does the data come from? If the data is not there, what do? You don't do anything. You wait for the data to come out. Unfortunately for us Indians, we have been late in the whole bandwagon. We have not been collecting data, whereas the West has already collected the data, and they are therefore ahead of us. So you have to also think of cases wherein where can we start off without having data. Now this might be a new trend altogether. Some of you possibly might say it's not possible. Some of you may say it's possible after the lecture. I do not know. I hope you all appreciate what I'm trying to present here. So what we finally need is what I put out at the bottom, learning from scratch. So you start off from learning from scratch. When you're born, for instance, you don't have a learning mechanism. Only a learning mechanism is embedded in you. The data as such is embedded in the form of some genes, which are possibly some things that are already been embedded for you for survival. Like for instance, when a child is born, it knows how to cry. It knows when to cry. It knows that when it's hungry, it cries, therefore it gets food. So some things are already embedded in the form of genes, and some other forms of actions are already embedded and is known. But other kinds of knowledge are learned over the period of time in your lifetime. The other point to be noted is that of embodied intelligence. When I say embodied, I mean that the system has to, the learning module is not just running on a computer. It is not like it's a closed world. It's an open world wherein a physical system interacts with you, learns from you. And that's where we digress to the field of possibly IoTs and a congregation of IoTs then possibly leading to robots, which move around, get data from its environment, learn from its environment, and then become intelligent. So the embodiedness is one form of intelligence. We also talk, as I said, there are other things like federated learning, transfer learning. We'll talk of it as we go. Most of the time, when we look at nature, many times we always keep looking at nature. When you learn computer architecture, for instance, you talk of cache, you talk of main memory, you talk of virtual memory. I suppose I'm talking to an audience which are more familiar in computer science. So all these things are actually some things which we already do. We have copied it from the way in which we organize our own workspace. We have a small table, you've got an almirah, you've got a rack. All these things are synonymous to the caches, the main memory and the virtual memory and the auxiliary memory. So everything that we do, we seem to be looking at nature. So if you look at nature and try to copy algorithms from nature, you might get possibly wonderful algorithms and wonderful mechanisms that could solve more highly complex problems in simple ways, which is the focus of this lecture. So here are some things which possibly some of you can look into. Ants, for instance, are very ants. When you look at ants, they are always in colonies. Have you ever wondered why ants are generated in big colonies? Obviously, because if an elephant goes through, many of them will die. If they are reproducing in small numbers, the whole species might die. So that doesn't happen. They are in colonies. When you look at one ant, for instance, it is a useless dummy sort of animal. It can't do much. But as a colony, it can do wonders. On the middle upper hand, you can see an anthill which almost all of you may have seen, right? I suppose Agartala also has anthills. If you inspect anthills, possibly even in the Saharan deserts, there are anthills wherein the outside temperatures are around 50-55 degrees and inside temperatures are as low as 34 degrees. So how do they find out how to build such kind of things? If you take one ant as such and try possibly dissecting into its neurons, you will not find the real map inside. But on the contrary, when all of them come together, they, in a decentralized form, they seem to build such wonderful structures. This is what they call as emergent intelligence. So by using small processors, in this particular case, ants, small processors with limited capabilities, but in huge numbers, they all together can come up with some kind of intelligence called emergent intelligence. Do remember that we are looking at nature now. Copying this is no joke. People have copied some portions of that. If ever you have encountered the algorithm called ant colony optimization, that sort of looks into how ants behave and how they talk to each other in a manner which is not one-to-one but very local, and by exchanging information they find the shortest path. Then there are genetic algorithms. There are flocks on that side. You can see a large number of birds moving around on the right bottom. Can you imagine these birds have you ever seen two birds crash against each other? They don't. Have you ever seen two people come one against other, like for us? In a two-dimensional space, we seem to be crashing onto the other, our elbows brush, or maybe sometimes we come face to face, we fall down. But these guys never have. It never happens. How do they do it? If you dissect into how they do it, the whole thing is based on just about 4 rules. I won't be going into those rules. 4 simple rules which are followed by each of the birds. They allow them to move around in the flock without colliding and yet following the flock. The same is true in case of shoals of fish. So the point to be noted is that 4 simple rules can do such wonderful jobs. Then on the leftmost side, I'm not sure whether you know what that is. Leftmost bottom side, any idea? That's the immune system. Those are the white blood corpuscles attacking an antigen which has come from outside, the attacker into your system. So do remember that while you're sitting out here, you are constantly under attack, but you don't know about it. Your body is defending, and who's defending? Your immune system is defending. But you might say, I don't feel the immune system. You don't feel it. I have a cold right now. Yesterday I had a very bad cold. I'm on antibiotics. My throat, as you can see, is slightly harsh. My voice is harsh. So I am under attack. I'm under attack and I know that I'm under attack when some kind of symptoms come up. Otherwise, I feel fine. But don't forget that the body is continuously under attack. There are millions of viruses and bacteria all around me. If I go and if I take one hair of my body and put it under an electron microscope, I feel like going and having a bath because it looks so dirty. And after having a bath, maybe with Dettol or something of that sort, I come back again 5 minutes later. If I take another hair from my body and do it, it will look as bad as it was earlier. Because these kind of bacteria, they regenerate very quickly. So you can't save yourself from these bacteria, only your immune system can defend it. So let us look at the immune system and see how it defends your body. Don't forget one important factor here, that the immune system by itself is a decentralized system. Those of you who are not familiar, just in case, there are centralized systems and decentralized systems. Centralized systems, there's one authority on top, there's a boss up there who will disperse the instructions to the lesser ones, and the lesser ones, they carry out the instructions. But if the boss fails somehow, or the boss dies, the whole thing dies. You can't have an immune system like that. So the immune system is basically decentralized in nature. Your brain does not control the immune system, to the best of my knowledge. The brain controls it in some alternative method. In fact, it is very well known that if you are depressed, your immune system becomes weak. If you are happy, by happy I don't mean just smiling around, I mean inherently happy. If you are inherently happy, your immune system is strong. This is possibly one of the various indirect ways in which the brain possibly controls the immune system. Otherwise, it doesn't control the immune system. Let me go further. So, nature provides better solutions, possibly simpler solutions for more complex ones. But most of the time, it's population-based. Population-based in the sense that you know that antibody, it's not one antibody, it's several antibodies. So the immune system has many immune cells which are defending you. It's not one. So it's population-based. It is distributed and decentralized, and it uses local approaches. Local approaches means it does not, broadcast everything to everyone. It is based on local broadcasts. So you tell your neighbor tells you what is the situation around each other, and thereby the message passes through across the entire colony or entire population. So what all things do they exhibit? Number one is real-time embodied intelligence. Why real-time? Because it's continuously monitoring your system. Why embodied? Because you have a body as such into which the system has been embedded. And why intelligence? Intelligence naturally it means there is a learning mechanism. So the immune system also has a learning mechanism. It has autonomous behavior in the sense that it's not controlled by anyone. It controls itself. It adapts new viruses, new bacteria, that also it can handle. It has self-healing properties wherein even if your immune system is down, it will wake up and again regenerate over a period of time. It has social awareness, including emotions. I mean, these are some things which are, I don't want to go into that, but as I said, emotions also seem to affect the immune system. A few things to be noted out here is that all these things have been developed over billions of years with deaths of so many, it has evolved over a period of time. The earlier ones, we started off with being invertebrates without the vertebral column. Slowly we developed the vertebral column. And by the way, the immune system is true only for those who have vertebral columns, not for the invertebrates. Invertebrates have something else. Another point to be noted is the last one, is that about 100 million cells will have died by the time I read this sentence. How do you feel now? By this time you have already lost so many cells. But then it doesn't mean that by the end of this lecture you're not there. It doesn't happen like that because it is regenerated and new cells take the place of new ones. So what are things does nature provide? So far it has provided so much. I mean, these are only a partial list. Number one is the immune system. So just like you say intelligence and then you say artificial intelligence. Here we have immune systems, and those algorithms copied from the immune system are called as artificial immune systems. Then you have evolutionary systems, like many of you may be knowing about genetic algorithms. Those are copied from evolutionary systems. Then there is swarm intelligence, amorphous computing, all the, I mean, I'm not going to read it. The thing which I want to stress on is the first one. So let's look at what the immune system can offer us. All of you know what an algorithm is. What are the things which you would like of an algorithm? Whatever you like is there in the immune system. So let's see what other things are there. Number one is mobility. Now you might say, where does mobility come in an algorithm? Mobility comes in the algorithm because if I want a particular service, then I want the best algorithm to come to me. If I want to sort some numbers, which is the best algorithm for sorting? That should come to me. So it might be there with any of you for that matter. Can I attract it and bring it here? So this kind of a system is there in the immune system. So whenever there is an attack somewhere, the best kind of antibody which is required for that particular attack will be attracted towards the place where the attack has come. So therefore mobility. The others are physical action. It can actually kill. It can actually detect and kill. Other thing is recognition. The immune system has to recognize who is the intruder and who is yourself. There are two cells within your system. Number one is the self cell, which is what you are made of, and which is the non-self cell, which is attacking you. Now the attacker is the antigen or the virus or the bacteria, whatever the case may be. It has to be able to differentiate the two. It is just like saying, for instance, in the army, if the soldier tries to kill the civilians, thinking that that is the intruder, then that's not the way it should happen, right? Should be able to discern who is the civilian, who is on your side, and who is on the other side. So it is able to recognize. Then there are many other features like robustness, feature extraction, which is something very important in case of machine learning. Diversity, it is to cater to so many different types of attacks, different types. Then it has both reinforcement learning and memory. If you have studied machine learning, one of the techniques of learning is called reinforcement learning, which is there in case when you don't have data. You create the data, you interact with the environment, and then create the data and then learn from the data based on rewards and penalties. So the system learns in the same way. And the rest I have already mentioned. It is decentralized, multi-layered, and adaptive. So let's have a quick look at where all have it been used. Number one is for fault and anomaly detection, mostly in computer networks. In order to detect any anomaly, immune system algorithms have been used. Then machine learning, it has been used in machine learning because you need to match patterns, features, extract features, find out whether these features match with the correct other feature, and then based on that make a decision. Agent-based systems, scheduling, autonomous control, very many more. You can use it in robotics, language processing, security of information systems, and so on. So here are some of the theories. I'm not going to these theories. I'll be going into only one of the theories which is of more interest. One of them is the positive and negative selection, clonal selection, and danger theory. In brief, what is positive and negative selection? So given an antibody, if it is able to quell the antigenic attack, that means it is able to kill the antigen, then you say that it is a good antibody. If it is not able to kill it, then you throw it off. That is negative selection. Positive selection, negative selection. The ones which are selected based on positive selection, they tend to reproduce themselves, or not reproduce, they call it cloning. They clone themselves and their population increases. And by virtue of the fact that their population starts exploding, they are able to quell the antigenic attack. A point to be noted here is that when a bacteria enters your body, it finds a lot of nutrients in your body. And the moment one bacteria enters, it eats up the whole thing and then reproduces. So one bacteria becomes two bacteria, third bacteria, fourth bacteria, and so on. It's a combinatorial explosion. So the immune system also has to take care of that. The antibodies also have to clone themselves so as to beat this population and then eventually quell it. The third thing is called danger theory. The danger theory is something like this, that when there is danger somewhere, the corresponding algorithms are attracted, like for instance, antibodies in this case. So imagine a case, for instance, there's fire in a building. That fire in a building will automatically attract the ambulance, the fire brigade, the police, all those things are attracted. So the danger signals are emanated from the place where there's fire in the form of smoke, and the smoke will cause the others to come in. So those are the services that are coming to the place where there is an attack. Okay? So that is what is called a danger theory. Whenever there is danger somewhere, danger signals emanate from there, and that causes the corresponding antibodies catering to that particular problem to come there. The third and most important thing which I want to deliver here is called as the immune network. So let's go further into that. Before a brief history about the immune network. The immune network was first proposed by John somewhere in earlier than 1984, but in 1984 he got the Nobel Prize for discovering this immune network. So it's a theory of how the immune system works. But over the turn of the century, somewhere in 1998, 99, this theory was, dumped, and it was termed to be useless. But in the early part of this century, computational scientists found that this theory of the immune network, and of course other immunological concepts, seemed to be working well in the computational domain. So they started extracting all these things and using it in their domain. So one of the things that they have retrieved from the immunology point was the immune network. So let's see how the immune network works. Let us skip all the technicalities. Technicalities you can see later. Let's understand how it is. So I've tried to reformulate the problem in a very simple way so that people quickly understand. So let me show you an approximate analogy. So here we have so many students sitting in a classroom, and these people are students. They are called as the antibody repertoire. So you imagine a set of students sitting here. They are the antibodies. Okay, that means that is the system that is going to defend itself. Then there is another guy who will ask questions to the class. You can call him the quiz master. So it's a competition going on, and there are some students who are trying to answer the questions put forth by the quiz master. So this quiz master is the source of all antigens. So that is the antigen. So who's being attacked? The students are being attacked by the questions put forth by the quiz master. Okay? So I'm modeling the immune system in the form of antigens and antibodies. Antibodies are from our side, antigens are coming from the external source. So let's try how things work out in the immune network. So the quiz master comes up with the first question. Now, what is the first question? What was Ethiopia known as earlier? Now, it is naturally that all the people in the classroom will not raise their hands. Only some of them will raise their hands who are sort of feeling sure that they know the answer, right? Only some of them, not all. It's not possible. So let's imagine that 4 of them raise their hands. You can see they have raised their hands in the form of arrows. So each of these students have a number alongside. So that is some number which involves the concentration of that particular person, or the marks which the person has been given a priori. All of them are equal at A. I've given 20 there, could give anything, of course. All of them are at the same level. In short, all of them are at the same level. All of them have currently 20 marks with them. Okay? Now the question is put forth, 4 people raise their hands. So those are the 4 people who are raising their hands. Some names put forth. All of them got 20 marks. naturally the quizmaster will have to choose one of them. But since all of them are peers, all of them have 20 marks each, he's not able to decide who. So he goes random. Right? So he goes random and one person is chosen. So those people who have raised their hands, they are called as candidate antibodies. The participants, there is a big set of participants, out of which a small set have come forward to saying that we can answer the question. And those people are what are called as the candidate antibodies. So amongst those candidate antibodies, since all of them have the same concentration or the same marks, one of them is chosen randomly. So who's chosen randomly? This girl is chosen randomly. And she answers the question. She says ABC. Now we're going to see whether it's correct or not. So the answer is correct. So what happens now? What happens now is that this girl is stimulated by the others in the candidate antibodies, which means they sort of donate something to her. She is stimulated by the others because out of those 4 people, she happens to be the winner. So her points increase. As you can see, her points will increase. So it has become 25. And she, on the contrary, she will suppress the others. She will suppress the others, and therefore their concentrations will decrease. Right? Their concentration. Virtually what's happening is that those 4 people who stood up, one of them is a winner, who is chosen as who answers correctly is the winner, and that person is stimulated, he gets more marks, the others get less marks. Right? In the process, they form the network. Can you see the hazy sort of portion there? That forms a sub-network. So that is the network. So don't confuse yourself with the network which you generally learn in computer networks. This is not that kind of network. Now what happens is that, let's go further, there's another attack. The quizmaster puts forth another question. So it says, where is Timbuktu? So again, this time 2 people raise hands, and you can see that they say it's in green line. One of them is selected. Again, both are 20, so one random guess. So that person says green line. That answer is incorrect. It's Mali. So what happens is that this girl is suppressed by them because now this time she did not answer it correctly, and whereas this girl, the other girl, is stimulated. So stimulations and suppressions. Who is the winner is stimulated. Who is answered incorrectly are suppressed. So again, another small network has formed. The blue one is a small subnetwork. So yet another attack. There's another question. You can read it out. What is the world's biggest structure made by living organisms that can be seen from outer space? Any guess? Huh? Yes, the Great Barrier Reef. So here 2 people again come up, as you can see. And then this girl says, why was she selected now? Here you can see that some of them from the older subnetwork and some of them from the other subnetwork, and some isolated guys have raised their hands. Right? And she answers the Great Wall of China, which is of course not correct. So the correct answer, as you rightly pointed out, is the Great Barrier Reef. So therefore, once again, suppressions. What do you see here now? Subnetworks are being connected. Is that clear? So complete repertoire of antibodies which are disconnected initially, slowly form subnetworks, and subnetworks connect together, and finally all of them are connected. So here again, suppressions and stimulations, and then these get connected. Subnetworks get connected. Okay? Like that it continues. I won't be showing more. Naturally it continues, and over a period of time they become connected. And let's see what happens at the end, sometime at the end, at some time t. At some time t, you can see that the person on the bottom side, right bottom, has still the value 20. Can you see a girl who scored only 20? That means she has not been corrected. Means what? She has not been doing anything at all. She's just sitting in the classroom, and she's a waste of resource. So such kind of antibodies are discarded from the system. So therefore this girl is discarded, and a new person is appointed. because it's of no use right now. It's been long, that person has been there and it's not working at all, so that person is discarded. This is what the immune system does. What about there's still one more on the top side left who has just 4, which means he has been losing things and he's not worth being in the classroom. So slowly this guy also will be deleted and a new person will occupy its place. So you can see some of them die in the process. These 2 died and they are replaced by some new type of antibody. And then the process keeps on going. So can you see the network? This is what they call as the immune network, or sometimes called as the idiotypic network, which approximates what John possibly mentioned. This said, what do you use it for? That's the important part. So let's look at, I'll skip this part. So here's one typical case. An easy question which is difficult to answer. But of course I need audience participation. So any volunteers? Very quick. We don't have time, unfortunately. Anybody volunteer?
Any volunteer from the
Any volunteer? Please stand up. Somebody. Please stand up. Will you volunteer? Come. So anyway, you can stand there, it's no issues. So I'll ask you a question which you have to answer quickly. And don't feel bad if you can't answer. In fact, I cannot answer. The question is very easy, but very difficult to solve. Okay? I mean, very difficult to answer. So what is your mother tongue, by the way?
Bengali.
Louder, please.
Bengali.
Bengali. I think most of you understand Bengali. Maybe I don't understand it properly, so you all will tell me whether it's the correct answer. So now your question comes now. So first question was not the question. The question comes now. So your question is, tell me one sentence in Bengali. One sentence in Bengali, which is completely incorrect. Your time starts now. So look at how much time it takes. Look at how much time it takes. Okay, now I change it. Tell me one sentence in Bengali which is correct.
Prithvi.
Huh?
Prithvi.
Is that a sentence?
Sentence. Puro sentence.
That's all.
Prithvi goal.
Okay, Prithvi goal is too small a sentence, but anyway, it's answered. So what do you note here? You note that he is able to, emanate correct sentences. But incorrect sentences, he keeps on thinking. And it happens to all of us. You try doing it. And why is that so? Because somewhere in your brain, there is another immune system which will not allow you to generate the incorrect sentences. Do you get the point? So your brain also works somewhere, in some way, based on, please have a seat. Thank you. So everywhere there is, the immune system is what I'm saying. Though it's not the immune system that protects you, but it is some kind of a system that will do things the other way around. Now let me ask you one simple question. How many of you will throw a stone at me right now? Provided you have a stone, of course. Why wouldn't you? So something in you is preventing, right? So once again, your immune system is preventing you, because once you possibly did it, or once you saw somebody do it, and then he really got it, right? At some point of time. Or your teacher, at some point of time in school, you have noted that somebody threw it onto the teacher and he really got it, right? You have learned that lesson, and your immune system will not allow you to do it. But of course, I'm not talking, that is not the immune system. I'm talking of everywhere there is an immune system. There are also immune systems. Now, the other question to be noted is that, are you all under attack? If I ask you, apart from the fact that bacteria and other things are attacking, are you all currently under attack? The answer is just yes or no. No. How many of you say yes then? Why so?
Because we are in constant conflict of keeping ourselves right. That is why we are constant.
You are approximately right. You're constantly being bombarded by antigens. One antigen generating person is me, myself, because I'm talking something, right? You're trying to make sense out of what I'm talking. You're constantly trying to, work your brain so that to understand what I'm saying. So you are under attack in that sense. What is the other attack? This is one example. What is the other? Many people, while you are sitting, you shift, right? It's not possible for you to sit in the same way for a long time. Why is that so? Because after some time, your blood vessels become, blood doesn't flow to a particular place. So the system says, no, now you have to change your angle. So it's an attack. And you're in the attack, another kind of an immune system works to make you comfortable. So like what he said, you're trying to become more and more comfortable. Everywhere you're trying to become more comfortable by ensuring that all the antigens are good. The antigens could come up in any way, in the form of bacteria or viruses or possibly physical pain or mental pain. So everything can be modeled as an immune system is what I'm trying to tell you. Let me go forward. Oh, sir. So we have used it for behavior arbitration in robots. Let me just have a quick, I'll just show you quickly, I won't go into the... So in a robot, if you have a robot, the robot has some limited capabilities. So functionalities are limited, just like we can't fly, right? So our functionalities are limited, and we can do n number of actions where n is deterministic. So given a robot also it's the same. So in this particular scenario, you can see that there are several robots. They are trying to pick some pucks which are scattered around there. They try to pick it up and they are supposed to put it in the bins which are labeled as A, B and C. That means they have to put it in the right corners. So looking at it, you might have guessed that the yellow ones should go to C, then red ones should go to A and green ones should go to B. If the environment says so, then the robots have to learn it. Now we are not going to program it, remember. We are going to make it learn to do that. So we have employed the immune network to make the robots learn to do this job. So I'll just quickly go to a video which will show you that. How do I go to this video?
Play the video. So, please click on OK. Yes. Okay. So double tap on it.
So as you can see, there's only one robot. My voice is clear. Yes. So there's only one robot right now. So it's picking up, placing it in random places. If it places the yellow one in the red portion, it receives a penalty. And likewise, so rewards and penalties from the environment, because that is what the environment wants it to. And based on the rewards and penalties, it receives suppressions and stimulations, and then it learns that particular thing that I have to do this particular job. So this is based on the immune network. So I fast forward it. I hope you understood that here, for instance, it has got a penalty, and eventually it learns that. So once it knows that it has to be put in the green, the yellow one has to be put in the yellow one, it will keep on doing that. And likewise for the others. So let me fast forward it. At some point of time during this thing, I changed the rules. I changed the rules of the game saying that the yellow one has to now be put in the red one. So the environment has changed. Now see, you can see that it has learned that the yellow ones have now to be put in the red ones, the green ones in the yellow and the red ones in the green. I have changed the environment. The rules of the game have changed. So it has learned that also. Now if you do this in a neural network, how you do that? You will have to retrain the neural network. Right now I did not retrain it. Okay, it just continued. Suddenly I changed the rules and it learned the rules. Again if I change it back, again it will learn. So this is a dynamic way of learning. I do not reprogram the system by itself learns during runtime. So this is the best part in the whole thing. So let me tell you something more about it. Oops, what happened? The antigens, you can see them. Yeah, so let me go further. I want to show you some graphs out of this. So here in this graph, you can see that on the left side, the graph shows how the antigen, the concentration of the antigens is increasing. So some of the lines, each line stands for one type of antibody. The antibodies which got more rewards, their population kept on increasing. Their concentrations and therefore population kept on increasing. The others died down because they were of no use. They were getting penalties and they were thrown out. But at the center somewhere, the rules of the game changed. When the rules of the game changed, the ones which had high concentration now came down. And whereas the others, they went up. Now this is understood. This is intuitive from what we have told so far. But what we are not seeing here is the next slide, next portion. There are others which I have not plotted. What happened to the other antibodies? The other antibody, there was also an antibody which I did not mention, that when the charge of that particular robot went low, it has to go to the corner called D where there is a charging point. Now this did not change in the environmental change. So only part of the environment has changed, the other part seems to remain the same. So the other part has been conserved right from the beginning till the end. So that antibody which would take the robot to the point D where the charging point is, remained to have higher concentration all through, in spite of the fact that the environment has changed. This, remember, this cannot be done in a neural network. The neural network has to be retrained again because everything has changed now. So you will have to start from scratch, and don't forget that you need data also for that. Here we did not have any data. We ensured that things are working fine. It is learning from the environment. And when the environment changes, it learns from the environment. If only part of the environment has changed, only that part is relearned. The remaining part is not relearned because it has not changed. So this is the best part of the immune network. Okay, let me skip this. We have also used it for what is called as transfer learning. I hope many of you know, you all know what is transfer learning. Anybody who doesn't know transfer learning? Okay, I'll give you a quick gist. The thing is that when you create a model in a neural network, and when you want to, supposing you have a data set, you train that particular model on that data set, and now tomorrow you have another data set, and you want to start off with that particular data set. Now these two data sets are approximately similar. Like the first one was a number data set, the second was for another number data set. Two different data sets, but both are number based. Under such conditions, the first model is trained on the first data set, then instead of training the second model again, what we do is that we copy some of the neuronal layers into the second model and then start off making it learn the second data set. Okay, so the thing looks approximately like this. You have one data set, one neural network here, which is called as the source neural network. You have another which is the target neural network, and you take one portion of this and put it onto the other and freeze it. And you make that thing learn, and in the process what happens is the faster learning method. It is like where you have learned something, now I also to learn something, so I take some part of you and push it into me and I start learning. So that is generally imagined to be a faster method. That is what they call as transfer learning. But in most of the cases, they take the entire layer, all the neurons in the layer, and just put it. Now, how do you select that particular layer? God knows. It's done just by by trial and error. Should you take the entire layer and put it there? Again, God knows. Again, you do trial and error. Okay. So we found out a different method using again the immune network. So what did we do is that let me go faster. So here's the initial part. So you have a forward propagation wherein you're trying to find out the output, and then you have a loss function. I hope you know what a loss function is. That's what is used in the backward propagation. So based on the loss function, what we do is that this particular layer, you find out which neuron has the maximum loss and the minimum loss. For each neuron, you can find out the loss. For each neuron, if you can find the loss, based on the loss, you either increase or decrease a virtual temperature. Right? Virtually imagine it to be a temperature. The more the loss, the lesser the loss, the higher the temperature. And more the loss, the more the temperature. Oh, sorry, lesser the temperature. So what we do is that we consider one particular layer, for instance. So here if this in a particular backpropagation, if you find that the second neuron has the minimum loss. What do you mean by having minimum loss? That means it is a good one, right? If it was showing minimum loss, then naturally that neuron is actually significantly playing a good part in the learning. So that is actually suppressing the others, and the remaining part are actually stimulating the others. So the winning neuron, which is the one which is having lower loss, is stimulated by the others, and that neuron which is being stimulated is suppressing the others. So we have a separate immune network for each of the neurons and each of the layers. And based on this, over a period of time, we find that some of the neurons become very hot, some of the neurons become very cold. And it is these hot neurons which actually significantly played an important role in the learning mechanism. And this we did a transfer. So when you're looking at the target, what we did was we transferred this into this, and then we froze that. By freezing, what do I mean? I don't change the weights anymore. Other weights are possible to change, but these weights will not change because they are good weights. And then I trained the network on the target. But what happened was, we tried to do this job for data sets which are similar in nature and dissimilar in nature. Current transfer learning techniques are advised to be used only in case when the first data set and the second data set are similar in nature. Source and target data sets are similar in nature. If they are different, then they don't advise you to go for, because it's a completely different story altogether. But we found that when you use this kind of a method, what happens is that you can use it for dissimilar ones. Like I'll show you the case here. Can you see the upper ones here? The upper Devanagari and MNIST, two data sets. If you can see it visually, they are completely different, right? Whatever characters are there in Devanagari and whatever characters are there in the MNIST data set, they're completely different. Visually, they're different. Similarly, on the other side, the Devanagari and some Kanchi, that is the Japanese sort of characters, they're completely different. Now, if you have learned something in Devanagari, now you can transfer it into another target and make it learn the other one. And we found that if you go for, so these two are dissimilar, and when you have dissimilar, if you transfer only two neurons, lesser number of neurons, you find that the accuracies are high. Only in case of dissimilar ones. For similar ones, it is not. For similar ones, you have to transfer more and more of those neurons. that means the whole layer can be transferred. But when it is dissimilar, you can transfer only the hot neurons and you can get better results. So once again, we have proved that you can use the immune system in the form of an immune network for transfer learning. How much time do I have? I suppose it's beyond yawn, right? Listening is no joke. Listening is also fatiguing. So I won't throw more antigens. Maybe I'll skip the other slides. So let me just take the last part. I had many things to show here. So these are some of the related papers. All these are based on immune system. A lot of students have worked on it in different methods. We have used it for robotics, we have used it for federated learning, we have used it in IoTs and many more. We have used the immune system for that. So in case anyone wants to, you can visit our site, you can get hold of those papers too. I think I'll stop here. I hope it has not been a very heavy dose. So this reminds me of a nice joke, you know. Maybe the joke will sort of gear you up a little. So it's a joke about I happened to crack this so many times, so maybe if you all have been in one of my lectures earlier, you might say this guy cracks the same joke. That could be another joke. So it's like, you know, how many of you heard the Wild West, wherein, you know, there were cowboys with guns and all in the wild Texas, the western side of America. It's a place where there is no law. You have to protect yourself and you have to carry guns around. So it seems in one of those places, one person was made to come to the dais and give a lecture. So everybody is wearing guns, of course, because you have to wear that those days. So this guy started talking and talking. And talking and talking. Finally, he's not stopping. Then, you know, people get jittery and slowly their hands are going to the guns. The guy who's lecturing, he found that these people are getting noise, and then he also starts spreading. Then one person from the audience stands up and says, "Hey, you don't worry about it, we are not targeting you, we are targeting the person who brought you on the stage." So, I think by this I am indirectly meaning the people who have called me here and made me talk so much. Okay, if there are any questions, you all can ask, of course. Thank you again for patient listening.
Audience, any questions from your side? Dr. Nair will be more than happy to be helping you about this. Audience, if you have questions, please raise your hands. Maintain the decorum inside the hall. From the audience side, no questions. So I was so interactive while he was lecturing, so we expect some few questions and I'll try and from this side.
Wishes. Yeah. So thank you so much for your patient listening. And thank you for accepting all the antigens. I wonder if you killed them, but at least you allowed me to throw them at you. Thank you.
Session, which was so helpful and resourceful for the entire audience. With this, we come to the end of the schedule for the first session before the lunch commences. I would request the dignitaries, the patron of today's program, to kindly hand over the small token of love from our side to our chief guests. I request Dr. Prashanta Kumar Sinha, the principal of ICFAI Technical School, to kindly hand over the token of love to Dr. Shubhit Mishra. Volunteers, can you please come with the token of love? Sir, it will be better if you come on the stage. Thank you very much, Dr. Mishra, for accepting our invitation. Dhananjay Datta, the Dean of Research and Development of ICFA University Tripura, to kindly hand over the token of love to Dr. Nair. I request both of you to please come on the stage for the handover session. Thank you very much, Dr. With this, we come to the end of the first half of today's session. So I would request the dignitaries to kindly proceed forward to the boardroom and for the lunch purpose.